Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So we're going to have some fun today. We're going to bezel a gemstone cabochon. So they're the flat back gemstones, and these gorgeous oval gemstones, these are 18 by 25. These are all from Eureka Crystal Beads, and they're having a special going on, I think until October 15th. Don't quote me on that. Just look at the website. I'll put a link down below. So they have a nice discounts in their cabochon category. So these are so reasonable. Here is a Morganite, and look at that pretty bezel. Isn't that beautiful? I love that, that netting bezel. And then we have a little bit of, embellishment around. And this bail, I think Eureka Crystal Beads has this bail, and this ribbon is from Orchid and Opal's, Gina from Orchid and Opal Beaded Jewelry. Her latest collection, collaboration with them, I think it was called Sunshine Bliss, something like that, but it's there. And then here, this one, it's gorgeous cabochon. Look at that one, so neutral. Love it. Sort of almost Western looking. These beads are also from that collection. Sunflower Bliss, maybe that. Did I say that? I think that's what it is. And then this one, and these are beads from my stash. Isn't this beautiful? So if you don't want to bail, you can actually just attach the necklace right through one of the beads at the top. So this is that one. Here's the netting on it. So really enjoyed making these. I hope you'll make them too and post them on Facebook. So pretty, very fall inspired. This clasp is cool as well. All right, so I'm going to click this off. We'll get a materials list going. Let me fix that. And we'll get started. So before we go to the materials list, I forgot to show you this blue one. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that Sodalite. That's stunning. So this is everything I picked out for the Sodalite, and I'm going to make another one. And this necklace, I'm going to attach it to this necklace, like right here. And this necklace I have a tutorial for, so I'll link that down below if you would like to make it and attach it to this necklace. All right, let's get materials list going. Yeah, let's get materials list going. So we're using some delicas, and I have this delica mix. This is from the Sunflower Bliss collection. And in the next clips, I'm going to show you how I separated them all, weighed them, and put them in little separate bags so I could just choose whatever I want. I've got another delica here, which is, what sort of, this is the bronze delica that I use to contrast. But you can use all the delicas from this mix if you have it. I've got a 15-0 seed bead. I've got a 3mm bicone. I've got a 3mm pearl. This is a 6mm fire polish bead. I've got some 4mm bicones. I've got some 4mm pearls. And here is a crimp bead. I've got this clasp, bail here, and this beautiful clasp. This is also from that collection. So I did use for this one, I used a lot of beads from that particular collection. So this is gorgeous here. I've got I'm going to say this is a 3mm jump ring to put on the clasp. I'll check and make sure that's the right size, 3 or 4. And then I love these because you're going to use wire if you're making the necklace. So these hold the beads on a wire. So a couple of these, I'll see if I can find those for you. I'm going to put colors, all the materials list, of course, sizes, shapes, colors, everything in the description box below the video. And I'll put links to the page where you can find the colors, because we've got so many colors. I mean, if I list everyone individually, it's going to be crazy. And they may not have all the colors depending on where you're purchasing, etc. So, I'll see what I can do as far as that's concerned. Now, this fire line. So one of my viewers said she was using this fire line, and this is from the sporting goods store, and I use it too. And I thought it was just regular crystal fire line, but it isn't. It's super line. So it's a little different, and it just feels different. I was wondering why it felt different. It's really got some slip, but yet it grips also. I love it. I'm really enjoying this. So check out Fireline Thermally Fused Tough. Maybe that's the difference. And it's a super line. And it's 6 pound. And it's just, I love it. So, check this out if you're looking for thread. And, I've been using the Smoke Fireline, the black satin fire line forever, and they don't make that anymore. So I was thrilled to find this. This is great. And you need some wire. Don't use this wire. This wire is 100 years old. You can use a fine or a very fine wire, and I'll link some of that below as well. I've got a needle case with all different size needles here, and of course, the stop bead. There you go. All right. So like I said, everything will be listed in the description box below the video. So don't forget to check that out. All right, let's get started. So I want to use some delicas from this mix. So this mix is, how much is in here? It's a 7.6 gram tube. So I'm going to separate them because why not? It's kind of fun to separate things. And then I get a true look at the color when I separate them, because I like to see a sort of a pile of color rather than, you know, just all spread out. Like I really can tell what that darker bead is. So I'm just going to separate all these beads, and, you know, then I'm going to weigh them. I'm going to weigh each color. Now, you know, because you know you have 7.6 grams, you can, you know, divide and figure out how much you have of each color if you know how many of, you know, how many colors you have. So I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like 4 colors, so you can actually, you know, you can just do the math, but I'm going to separate them anyway, and then I'm going to weigh the little bags, and I'm going to mark it on each bag so that I know exactly what's in there. So I've separated all my beads, and at 5 in the morning, it was just so relaxing. I had my coffee, and I was separating them, and it was just, you know, sometimes I really enjoy doing that, and it really gives me an idea of what the colors are. So where these, I can pretty much, you know, I can go really tell what they are. This one has, let me pull in super tight on this so you can see it. So do you see the green line? It's like a green lined maybe cranberry, or green lined sort of, you know, rusty brown, something like that, or even it could be a red, but the green makes it look a little darker. So that's interesting that I didn't really notice that at first. So it's a really good idea if you know, if you're feeling it, to do your little, to separate everything. And I made them into little crescent moons because why not? So before I put these in bags, I'm going to weigh them because I want to know how much I have of each color. Let's weigh one of the bags, and we can weigh them all and, you know, just make sure of the amount. So here I have a little travel scale with me here. This maximum capacity on this scale is 50 grams. So it's not a big one, but it's enough. And I've used it just for, you know, for a lot of things. I have a larger one too, but it didn't have the batteries for that one. So here it is. Everything is contained, which I like. So I open it up. Here's the calibration weight. So always keep that, have that stored. And then here I have a little bowl. Here's the scale itself, is a little bowl. Of course, there are directions. I'll link it down below if you'd like to take a look at it. But remember, it is a small, you know, 50 grams is the max. So here's my bowl. So I'm going to turn it on. So there we go. And you want to press this mode button until you get to grams. So I'm on grams here. This is the G. And it's at 0. So now I want to put my little vessel, and then I'm going to put the beads in, and it's going to weigh that. So you want to hit tare to bring it back to 0, so it doesn't count that weight. So I'm going to take one of the bags. I'm going to pour my beads in. And so I have 1.944 grams of beads here, so I almost have 2 grams of beads. So that is what I'm going to have in each bag. And like I said, you could figure it out by just the number on the tube and dividing it. But I like to be sure. So I know I have 1.9, let's say. And, you know, you can weigh all of them to make sure that they're all 1.9. I'm sure they are. And now I know that I have enough to do. I have enough to do a small bezel, like the bezel we're going to do today. I have enough to add little, you know, accent beads on. So, you know, almost a couple of grams of delicas really can get you, you know, get a lot of stuff done. All right, so let's clear this off, and then we'll get started on the pendant. Let's bezel this stone. So thread your needle with about 4.5 feet of thread. Put on a stop bead around in the middle. The portion of thread after the stop bead where your needle is attached could be a little bit longer. All right, so I'm going to pick up, I've picked up and dropped down to my stop bead 54 of my delicas. Sew these into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead, like so. So I've got my initial ring. Let's add some beads on. So I'm going to pick up a delica. I'm exiting a delica right here. I'm going to skip one and sew through the next one. So just like that. Just Put your thumb on it, give it a little pull, and then you want to make sure that that bead pops up on top of the previous one. So use your thumb to kind of push it. I'm going to pick up another delica. Exiting this one, I'm going to skip this next one and sew through the following one. Just like that. Again, holding it with my thumb, not pulling so tight, like it's not in a death grip or anything, just popping it over. You don't want them to buckle too much because then it's going to get all out of shape. So you're just going to continue doing that, picking up a delica, exiting here, skipping a delica, and sewing through the next delica. So just like that. Okay, so you can just do that and just keep popping them over if you need to. Make sure that they look just like that. So continue all the way around and then we'll step up. Coming down to the end and I want to finish this round and step up. So I'm exiting, I put on this delica, I'm exiting here. I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to sew through the next one and then the one on the diagonal, and I'll move my thumb so you can see. So just like that. So that's going to place my last bead on of this round and step me up so I can add beads for the next round. That's what I have so far. So now I'm going to pick up my contrasting color delica, still working with the same thread, exiting one of these, this delica here. Just going to sew through the next delica like that. So I'm just going to do that all the way around. I'm just going to keep, this is the easy part, huh? Just keep adding delicas and sewing through the sticking out delica. So I'll let you complete that and then we'll step up. Notice as I'm doing this, I'm pulling it a little bit inward. You know, I have my thumb right there, just not super tight, but just a little slight tug. And it's starting to curve a little bit, so that's exactly what you want. It's time to step up, so I'm exiting here. I put this guy on. Just gonna sew through the next sticking out delica, which is this one, and then the one on the diagonal. I'm trying to get it so you can see it clearly. So through this one and this one. And now that round is completed and I'm ready to put some more beads on. Okay, this is what it looks like so far. So I've stepped up here and this is the round I was working on, the darker. So I'm going to put that needle aside. I'm going to take off my stop bead and you want to thread a needle. So we're going to do the back, a little bit on the back right now. So you know, this is the front right here where you have the darker beads. So you'll be exiting sort of an interior bead right here. Once you take your stop bead off, thread your needle. So you just want to get to the outside edge. So you're just going to sew through this one right here. Like that. So now my thread's in the right place to add some more beads on. 15-0s now. So I'm going to pick up my 15-0. And I'm exiting this delica. I'm going to sew through the next delica. Like that. Pick up a 15-0. Sew through the next delica. Just going to do that all the way around. Okay, so do that all the way around. And then you're going to step up, because we've already done that, so you know how to step up now. If you haven't before, and then you can put another round on. So come all the way around, step up, and put on another round of 15-0s. My first round of 15-0s on, and I'm about to step up. So here I put on this 15-0. I'm exiting the delica. I'm going to sew through the next delica, and then the 15-0 on the diagonal, giving that a little pull inward, and then I'm just going to continue on with my second round of 15-0s. So do that all the way around and then we'll step up. And to my last 15-0. So put this one on, I'm exiting this one. I'm going to sew through the next 15-0 and then the one on the diagonal. Like so. That's what we have so far. Okay, this is what I have so far. So here's where we were working. So I'm going to put that thread aside. I'm not going to sew it in yet. This is going to be the back. I'm going to come back around to the front where I have the delicas and I'm going to just lay my stone, and nothing is going to fit yet. It's just going to lay kind of like that. Putting my stone in there, I'm going to pick up my Delica, and I'm continuing on with the bronze color. So I'm exiting. Let me pull it a little bit. Okay, there we go. Exiting this one, I'm just going to sew. Pick up a bronze one, and I'm going to sew through the next. Sticking out Delica, and we're just going to do that all the way around. And you could be pulling in a little bit. So see how I'm pulling this way, but I'm holding it together because it'll just fall out if I let go of it. So get that done, come back, and we'll move on. We'll step down to my last Delica. So exiting here, I'm just going to sew through the next Delica and then the one on the diagonal, just like that. Now don't worry about it if it moves around a lot. It's not going to stay yet. The only thing you want to worry about right now, you know, when bezeling, you know, these gemstones, because they're, you know, they're kind of not perfect, is just make sure you have it sort of sitting nicely so your beads are, you know, kind of like this. You don't want it like, you know, some back there. You just want to even it out a little bit just with your fingers, and you could look at the back and see, is it sort of even out? Yeah, that's not bad. Like I said, it's not going to stay yet, but you know, just want to make sure the stone's sort of in there evenly. Okay, so I'm going to add another round of Delicas for this stone. On the others that I did 2 rounds of the bronze, but this stone is pretty thick, so this way. So I think it's going to need another round of Delicas. So I'm just going to add another round, and that's something that you'll have to determine, you know, as you go along. But I mean, I still think it would work with the 2 rounds. It's just, do you see how there's a lot of space here? So I'm thinking that it's going to look better with 3. So we'll see. My last Delica. So I'm going to step up like so, and the 3 rounds works really well for this deep stone. So, you know, you really need to make sure that, you know, you're about that way far up the stone, and this one was very deep. So there we go. Okay, let's start the netting. So you're exiting Delica right here. So I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s, a Delica and 2 15-0s, and I switched to a darker color Delica just so you could see better what I'm doing. So exiting this Delica, I'm going to skip the next one and sew through the following one. Just like that. Just going to place that little bit of netting on right there. And then I'm going to advance my needle. So I'm exiting here. I'm going to advance my needle through this Delica. And then the one on the diagonal, so that's sticking out bead right there. So let me move my thread so you can see exactly where I'm going. Just like that. And that's my first little netting bit. Now I'm going to add some more. That again, 2 15-0s, a Delica and 2 15-0s. I'm exiting right here. I'm going to skip this one and sew through the next one. It's going to put another netting on, and then before I continue, I'm going to sew through this Delica. And this one. So just moving my needle so I can put some more beads on. Okay, one more time. 2 15-0s, a Delica and 2 15-0s. Exiting right here. I'm going to skip this one and sew through the next one. Like that. And don't worry if they're sticking up, that you want that. And then I'm just going to move my needle through this Delica and this one. This is going to set me up to put my next group of netting stitches on. All right, so just continue that all the way around. To my last two 15-0s, Delica and two 15-0s, exiting here. I'm going to skip this one and sew through this one, and you see how that's a perfect fit, because then we have that, you have to move through this one and the next one, and that is exactly where we put the next one on. But instead of doing that, we're just going to sew up through the two 15-0s and out this Delica. So just like that. We're going to close this up. So I'm glad I used this stone, because it's just much thicker than the others that I have. So on the others, I did a 15-0, a 3mm bicone and a 15-0, but I think I'm going to need an 11-0 here. So I'm going to try it. So I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a 3mm bicone and an 11-0. You know, I'm always looking for the right one. So here. So remember, you can also do a 15-0, bicone 15-0, depending on, you know, what the fit's like. So when you put it on, you kind of want, you know, you want it sort of looking like that. So I think that that's going to work. But we'll try it, and if it doesn't work, you know, we can go back to the 15-0s. It's all, you know, part of working with these natural stones. So here's another one with the 11-0s. So I'm just going to let you do that all the way around, and we'll see how it comes out. Or I'll do it, and then before you do it, you know, you can see what mine looks like. Coming down to my last 11-0 bicone, 11-0, and sew through the Delica. And I just lost my needle, but I'll just give it a little pull. And I think that looks beautiful. I love it. It's a little, you know, with the 15-0s, you see the netting a little more, and, you know, in the other colors, but I still think it looks beautiful. Very happy with that. All right, so get that done, come back, and we'll continue. So I'm just going to, what I'm going to do with this thread, I'm going to rethread my needle, and I'm just going to reinforce a couple of times. Let's add the bail. So I'm going to hold my piece like this. Now you can hold it so you have that one bicone right at the top. And you probably can even like nudge this around a little to make sure it's nice and straight. You can have, this can be the top. But what I'm going to do, whatever the top is, whatever I choose, I'm going to choose 3 beads to work across. So here I'm taking 3 Delicas. I'm going to do this one, and this one. So I'm going to work with these 3. So that center one is attached to sort of this V part of the, you know, of the netting. So these 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to thread my needle, you know, with about 1.5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and I'm just going to put my needle right through that first Delica. Let's add the bail on. So here I'm coming through that Delica, you know, that I set up. I'm going to add a 3mm pearl. I'm going through the ring, so I put this ring on my clasp. I think it's a 3 or 4mm jump ring. That'll be in the description box. And another 3mm, you know, of pearl. Exiting here, I'm going to skip this one, this Delica, and sew through this one. When I pull, it's going to set that on. And we're going to tighten it up. And you also want to make sure that that ring is going to sit in between the pearls. But this is what it's going to look like to start. So get that done. This is what it looks like so far. So this ring is going to end up being pushed down, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I just want you to sort of tighten that up a bit. I'm going to turn it on the back. Just hold it, the thread at the moment, you know, with your fingers, and the stop bead is holding it on. So I just want to go around now. So I'm exiting this Delica. I'm going to sew through this one. Just want to work my way around to the beginning again. So I'm just going to go on the diagonal through the Delicas. So through that Delica, this one, through this one. And then as it's getting tighter, I'm going to push that ring down. And you want to end up with that ring sitting in between the pearls. You don't want the ring on the thread. So just hold it so, you know, you're kind of like that. Just be aware of that, you know, just mindful of that. I'm going to sew through this one. I'm going to sew through this one. Just working my way around. And then I want to use, so you're exiting here. Sew back through this one. So I want to go back and get through the beads again. That's going to secure it. And you want to pull, and then you want to go through all these beads again. So through the pearl, the ring. And it's going to, you know, it'll loosen up, but we'll get it. The pearl. I'm just going to put it down. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. And then I'm going to go back through this delica, and now so you want it, that's how you're going to tighten it up. So you want to make sure that ring's going to sit in between the two pearls. So hold it really tight and make sure, you know, your stop bead is you know, or wrap it around your fingers, and then you want to sew around. You can even go around again and sew this thread in, but you don't want it to loosen up, so make sure that you're always tightening it. And then you want to, you know, you want to go around the delicas, and you want to you know, reverse direction so it's nice and snug, and this is what it's going to look like. So I'll let you do that and come back and we'll continue. Okay, so we have our bail on, I've sewn in my threads, and now we're going to do this optional back if you want to add the pearls around the side. So just like that. So here is my piece, turn it on the back, and if you want to put the pearls on, I kind of want them to be on evenly. I want everything to be sort of, you know, centered properly. So I'm going to choose the last row of delicas before the 15-0s on the back, and I'm going to start with these 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to put my needle through that first of the 1, 2, 3. Pick up an 11-0, a pearl, and an 11-0. You can use a bicone here. Use anything that fits and looks that you like. Exiting here, I'm going to skip this one and sew through that third one. And you see what I mean when I put it on? It's going to be right in the center there between the other 2 pearls. So I don't know, you're really not going to see it that much, but I just like everything to be sort of symmetrical if I can. All right, so we have that on, and now we're exiting right here. We're going to sew through this one, and then this delica. So we're just working with those, we're going to put the beads on in between these outside delicas. I'm kind of like the front, you know, it's very similar. So I'm going to pick up an 11-0, 3mm pearl, and an 11-0. Exiting here, I'm going to skip this delica. I'm going to sew through this one. Oops. Like that. Then I'm just going to continue that all the way around. So here we'll just do one more time. So exiting this one, I'm going to sew through this one. And this one. And you could change to a size 12 beading needle here if you would like to, or if you need to. 11-0, 3mm pearl. 11-0. Exiting here, skip this one. Sew through this one. Just like that. And you're just going to continue that all the way around. I'm coming down to my last 11-0 pearl. 11-0, exiting here, skip this one. I'm going to sew through this one. Get caught. There we go. So now I'm at the end. So you just want to continue sewing through the delicas with the working thread. And then here is my tail thread. You want to sew those threads in, and you see what I mean about being symmetrical. So I see how when I put this on, you see the 3 here, and then they're kind of symmetrical all the way around. All right, so sew those threads in and come back and we'll finish up. Here are all our pretties. So let's look at the one we did today. This is the picture Jasper, and I love it. It's very like Western looking, isn't it? And I love it how neutral it is. Even with the green, it's super neutral. You could even, if you want to, you can even put the green delicas in between here if you have some green delicas, if you want to pull this in more. But I just think it's really pretty just the way it is. And we've got those pretty bicones there. Oops. And all. So here is the one we did today. And then let's look at this one. This is a pink one. I love that sort of rosy pink color. And I love it with this ribbon. I think it really goes beautifully. And you can, you can use a chain on this. You don't have to use the ribbon, but I just love how it looks that way. I think it's so pretty. And here's the simplest one. So I didn't even use the bail on this one. I took my wire and I went through a center delica at the top, so it's attached through a delica, and it's very strong. It's a very strong bezel, so I'm not worried about it. This is a pretty heavy chain, so heavy. These are pretty heavy beads, and I've worn it for a few days, and I'm not having any problems with it pulling or anything. If you're super worried about that and you want to do it this way, you can actually add some thread, some fire line through that center delica where you put the wire, and just sort of sew through a bit and add some knots, and that will give you a little more stability, but I just think it's fine. This does not have those 3mm pearls around the edge, so very simple, but I think very beautiful. Okay, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope you make this and post it on Facebook. I'd love to see all different beads that you choose, that you love. All right, so I want to thank you again, and I'll see you next time.